All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking NFL football. It's playoff time here. Yes, folks, we have switched from the college game over to the pro game. In order to do that, we had to be joined by our producer, Drew. I'm also joined by my co-host, Fresh. Gentlemen, playoffs are here. Welcome aboard.
Good to be here. Playoff time. Anything can happen in the NFL. It's chaos through regular season. Now we get the rubber meets the road, and who can survive the gauntlet and gets the Super Bowl?
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Ready to talk some football.
All right. So, interesting thing, I was looking just at the playoff bracket, gentlemen, and maybe I'll just get your reaction to it. I think this is the first year, no Chiefs in the playoffs here. The Eagles, the 3 seed there. And we are looking at it that the Broncos are the 1 seed and the Seahawks 1 seed. Kind of non-traditional teams that have worked their way up there. Kind of thoughts about either team to gain that first round bye with the Broncos and the Seahawks.
Well, first off, if you watch the Seahawks play, they're legit number one. That defense is nasty good. The reason why they're 1 and 2 in every single statistical category. Sam Darnold thing's still the biggest question mark because we've seen Sam Darnold in the regular season, and then last year we saw him in the playoffs and just completely laid the egg. How's he going to show up? Who is going to help? Is Cooper Kupp going to step up and help JSN? How's that running game going to be? Now the pressure's really on. Their ability to beat the Rams at times, and obviously the 49ers, the last game of the year, shows they're ready. But we'll see in a couple of weeks when they actually make their playoff debut. I think they're a very, very good football team. They've been built the right way. And John Schneider, the GM in Seattle, has been done a great job there, for many, many years. And he knows that, rinse repeat mentality, just getting them back out there. In terms of the Broncos, it's a Bo Nix experience. They've looked really, really good. And then they completely, lay an egg versus the Jaguars, who are a very good football team. Is the pressure going to be to Bo Nix? We haven't seen much playoff success in college. Will this actually show up and get it done in the NFL? And how much does Sean Payton have left in the bag to keep his team motivated and yelling? All in all, both teams they've earned it. They haven't just got it by blind luck or stumbled in, an under 500 record like a division champion of the Carolina Panthers. So the 1 seed, but the playoffs, crazy things happen, and we'll see when the games actually start if they're truly live up to the hype or they just earned it through a more of a marathon perspective instead of the sprint that is the playoff.
Yeah, I think both teams are actually built in a very similar way. They both have really strong defenses and questions at quarterback, you could say. But I know we're not talking necessarily heads up, but I would definitely give the edge to Seattle because I think their defense is a little bit better. And, tough to say I would trust Darnold, but I would trust him more than Nix, maybe. Maybe I'm willing to go that far.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Sean Payton factor on the Denver side, but McDonald's proved to be pretty solid. And if anything, he should get some credit for the Harbaugh departure in Baltimore because that defense fell off a cliff ever since he left.
Very good point. Very, very good point. And you mentioned, Seth, about the Chiefs. I think it's actually refreshing the Chiefs and the Lions are in the playoffs. You became a victim of your own success. I think when they became good, it was Chiefs, the Chiefs, they've been dominant forever. Now they're in the Super Bowl, and now we're like, thank God.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people kind of just get, I don't know, fatigue is probably the best word to use, but I'm sure there's probably something better where you get hatred towards a team. Like, I just don't want to see them again in the Super Bowl. And it brings me my next question to you guys there too. Like, are we to that point with the Eagles? Like, they've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 7 years, 8 years. They were absolutely ran roughshod through the playoffs last year. Are they to the point? Is it partially because Eagles fans are very loud, boisterous, aggressive, multiple adjectives I could use to describe that fan base? Are we to that point with the Eagles yet? Are they starting to be the villain here? Are we going to all hate on them or root against them? Like, again, as a person who's if I'm coming into the NFL playoffs here and I'm, Joe Schmo fan from, San Jose, California, who I don't really care about the Niners, how do I view the Eagles? Do I use them as a hatred? How does America view them?
Philly hates themselves. So, I mean, a fan base that sort of snowballs and hates Santa Claus, there's not much, to be happy about.
Yeah, I really understand that.
I think the real question is, does the team actually like themselves? A.J. Brown, and then you have the rumors of A.J. Brown and the rift with the coaching staff, and then A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith hating Jalen Hurts, and then Saquon Barkley not getting his touches. It's just like, there's no real blood. There's never been brotherly love in Philly, and there's a really brotherly love on this team. There's a lot of drama, and Do they have individual talent? Yes. Individual talent, offense and defense, but are they playing the same way that they played last year where they all played together? It's going to be tough to see them get that engine going, especially against a good 49ers team. We'll dive into that game a little bit later, but I feel people just hate Philly to hate Philly, and them winning makes that hatred grow even more.
Yeah, I would agree, Fresh. The Philly fans are the ones with the most hate. I would say in general, it's not like hate or fatigue, but it's almost confusion in terms of, because the Eagles, despite all the drama and anything like all the questions people still have about Hurts and the offense, they win games. And I think that frustrates people because there's not like hey, this guy's like, hey, it was like Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's obvious why the Chiefs are having the success they're having, different weapons, the defense, everything, all coming together. With the Eagles, every year Sirianni's on the hot seat. Oh, he's getting fired, and it's like, yeah, they're 8-1 and they've won some close games, and AJ Brown wants the ball more, but they just keep winning. And so maybe part of that would play into some fatigue, but I think it's mostly that fans can't really figure out why the Eagles continue to be as good as they are. And yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people that never really knows how to bet on the Eagles because they're the type of team that could beat anybody by 40 or lose to anybody by 40. And I really wouldn't be that shocked. I'd be a little shocked by the loss, I guess, because they do win more than they lose, but they're just so inconsistent from week to week.
When you kind of look at the schedule this year, they beat them. They lose to the very good Broncos football team. They get lucky on a blocked field goal they take back to beat the Rams. They pull one literally out of their bleepity bleep versus the Packers, and somehow, without doing anything diddly poo offensively, to quote Jim Moore Sr., versus the Bills, and somehow they win. It's just you hate them, but somehow this team, you have to kind of respect it because they still win. They could have completely all broken up, and they still find a way to just to win the ball game, whether it's ugly, whether it's pretty, and maybe even last year they looked so good, especially in the Super Bowl where everybody was watching, that we see them play so terrible and they still win. You're kind of like, hate that my team plays their tail off and we can't win. You got to play like trash, and they just keep winning.
Let me ask you guys this question, because I saw this earlier and just kind of like bounce around all over these playoffs here. And just your take on it. Steelers don't win against the Texans. Mike Tomlin's on the hot seat and could be fired. McDermott, if Buffalo doesn't beat Jacksonville this weekend, he's going to be fired. I took for a second, like, McDermott is having an away game. He's got, the Bills they're 6th seed. They got to travel to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville is a fairly good football team here. Steelers, I get, is a little bit, I probably don't think I respect the Texans as much as I do the Jaguars here. And I could kind of understand Mike Tomlin, which being fired for losing this, because he really hasn't gotten past much the first round lately. Thoughts on, are these guys actually on the hot seat, or is this just talking heads just trying to like drum up or blowing smoke out there?
Drew, I'll let you start off there.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bills lose to Jacksonville, then McDermott's out, and I wouldn't be shocked if that's where Harbaugh ended up landing.
Really?
Ultimately.
Buffalo?
Yeah.
He said he's delaying his coaching search for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because you're probably going to have a couple of jobs open up, and I mean, that's going to be your best option in terms of you have your quarterback and you figure the rest out. Most anywhere else he would be going, you probably have question marks at the quarterback position. And then, which maybe he'd want to, get his own guy in there or whatever. But I think he'd probably be more likely to go somewhere that he feels like he could have success. And I'm sure the Giants are, really wanting him to come through. But I mean, given the choice between the Giants and the Bills, if he gets that choice, I think it's pretty obvious you go to Buffalo.
No doubt, especially in new stadium and everything. Yeah.
What about Tomlin? Would you fire Tomlin?
They've only had 3 coaches, since the early 60s, late 50s? He gets you to 500, but Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 9 years. He's been there for every single one of that. That right there, at some point, there has to be change. Going 8-9, 10-7, 9-8, make it a playoff game and lose it every single time, it does become stale. And to your point about McDermott, there is no more excuse. There's no Lamar Jackson. There's no Patrick Mahomes in your way. There's no Tom Brady in your way. Now, the Bills have never won a playoff game in franchise history on the road. That's another, I saw that online, another streak that they need to try to end. It's not now when mentality from McDermott. You've been there long enough. You've had him in the championship game. You've lost in cool, elements in different ways, whether it's overtime or whatnot, but you still haven't gotten it done. And you eventually stop becoming the darling. You kind of look at where the Bengals went to a Super Bowl in that time frame. So it's,
Good point.
eventually you got to get it done. You got to find a way to get it done. At least you can get a change of leadership, kind of like the Tony Dungy thing where John Gruden came in the year after Dungy had all those great years. And that first year he had with all of Dungy's players went and won a Super Bowl.
Right.
And then did nothing after that in his entire coaching career.
And I guess on a technicality, I'm not sure they'll necessarily have the opportunity because is it that his contract is up after this year? And so, like, he might just not, I
Be
guess you
renewed.
say mutually part ways, but just kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to sign an extension and just,
Well, and when you bring up those two coaches, Matt LaFleur at the Packers, he doesn't have a contract next year.
yeah,
It's still up in the air. And,
interesting.
yeah, you beat the Cowboys 2 years ago, but you really haven't done much with having that roster. And yes, Micah Parsons is injured, and you have Tucker Kraft and Devontae White, a bunch of other players have been banged up all year. You have 16, I think, total in the IR. Still got to find a
Mhm.
winnable football game. It's professional football. Everybody's hurt. Win ball games. You have
Yeah.
your quarterback.
Tomlin's contract is up in after the 20 season. So after
Okay.
next year, and there's a team option for the 27 season, but they have to pick up that option by March 1st this year coming up.
So basically becomes 2 years.
Yeah. So Drew, I'll pose this question to you here. I know you are a card-carrying member of the I Hate Caleb Williams fan club, and he's making his very first playoffs start against Fresh's Packers here. What are the expectations? I don't know if any lower than expectations for a quarterback than Caleb Williams in his first playoff game, but that also remember that Bryce Young is starting a playoff game in the same playoffs. So I think that it's there. Both those kids, expectations. Do either one of those kids really have a chance to win a playoff game here?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I dislike Caleb Williams, he has made some strides for improvement this year. So he's definitely got the better chance, I would say, even though, if you go regular season, the Panthers kind of beat the shit out of the Rams. I don't expect that to happen again, but that was, interesting. And then the Bears obviously have had the season they've had. They've beat the Packers in the regular season. But if I was thinking of it from the story angle, and this isn't just because, Fresh is a Packers fan, I just think the most storybook ending would be a one and done playoff run, losing to the Packers, and nice season, Bears.
I mean, both these quarterbacks have already beaten their playoff opponent this season. Bryce Young beat the Rams. Caleb Williams in the first game started off slow. They came back. They lost on a pick. Second game, they were getting drubbed and getting run out of the building. He was 15, I think, for 33 for 150 yards, and then throws a touchdown. They get the miracle onside kick, and then win the ball game, or tie it and win the ball game. If it wasn't for that, he's 0-2. And he had success in the fourth quarter. He showed a little moxie. He plays a little regular. But you know what? Chicago right now, he's the best quarterback they've ever had. I think better than Jim McMahon, better than sexy Rexy Grossman. And you're going to live and die with it.
Sexy Rexy.
You're going to live and die with whatever you get. And I think Ben Johnson was the best coach for him because it lets him be erratic. And you guarantee right now, the Bears hate the Packers. Packers hate the Bears. And they are going to be totally fired up to play this football game. They're going to pull out all the trick plays, all the fun stuff, all the gadget stuff, Ben Johnson, and they're going to try to put Caleb out there to show off. And the reason why I say that is they missed out on the opportunity to have the first 4,000-yard passer in program in franchise history. They could have easily done it versus the Lions, and he couldn't throw for 240 yards.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to save face from that, because we kept hearing about 4,000 yards, the streak is finally going to be broken this year, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, is going in and beating the Packers in the playoffs. And the last time the Bears had a playoff one game, we had the double doink. So there is a lot of pressure, and I got a feeling they're going to try to do whatever they can to pull out all the stops and make him the show star and showcase him.
Right. I think all of us want to know, like the inquiring minds want to know, is he going to write FG Bay on his fingernails or some stupid junk like that, like you did in college? Like, I don't know. Prove to me that this guy is worth my time and has matured more than is. Like, I get it. He's made progress in the NFL level, and good on him. Like, great job out of him for that piece. But now, prove it to me that you can do it in the playoffs here. Like, you put up stats in the NFL, great. You faced, the Vikings twice this year here, and I don't think they played the fourth place schedule in the NFC North.
They did.
Yeah, they played a fourth place schedule there. So yeah, wake me up when you've won, a playoff game or two here, and I'll take you seriously. I don't know. I
Man,
look at
moving the goalposts on them, huh?
I mean, the Bears are a very, very talented football team, and they've from last year to this year, they have. I mean, yes, they made the offensive line better, but Ben Johnson infused significant confidence. That defense leads the NFL in takeaways. That they're scoring points. I don't think anyone in Chicago actually know what good offense looks like because they haven't seen that from their own team. They usually see it from the opponents scoring against them. So this has been a year already of highlights for them. And winning a playoff game, even if they just won the first one, it would be the greatest season in Bears history since 2006 when they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It took almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as Caleb Williams is concerned, it's like it wasn't that long ago where there was legitimate conversation where you could have about is this, bust potential. And I feel like, maybe not completely out of the woods if he were to fall off a cliff, but he's definitely trending towards like, okay, he's at least like a competent starter in the NFL, and then he's talented enough to make some throws and everything. So we'll see. I have been impressed this year, and I agree though, like some playoff success would be good, but I don't know. What I've seen has already been a great improvement. So Bears fans should be happy either way. But I do know, like, if the season ends with a loss to the Packers, I mean, they're going to be dealing, like, having those issues where it's like, you'll be with your buddies like, hey, but it was a good season, and it's like, yeah, but was it? Similar.
Was it really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the year when Ohio State loses to Michigan, wins the national championship. Sure, it feels good. That's not really a good comparison. Maybe this year's better. Beat Michigan, lose in the playoff. It's like, well, it was cool to beat Michigan, but, having the loss at the end versus getting the redemption. Because I do think, and Fresh, maybe you could elaborate on this a little bit. What happened to the Packers? Because they fell off a cliff. And I do think that if they wake up, like, they could easily compete with and beat the Bears, but I don't know what's been going on with the Packers.
Well, if you go back to almost was it like 7 minutes to go in the third quarter at Denver, up 9, throw to Christian Watson. He goes down with a bad shoulder, ball gets picked off, I believe. And then the next drive, Micah Parsons tears his ACL. Everyone Williams goes down the same play. And then you go to Chicago. Yeah, and then they go to Chicago. They're leading. And then Jordan Love gets a concussion. Then they muff the onside kick and lose that game and blow the coverage late in the ball game. Keyshawn Nix had his hand. I don't know what the heck he was doing. Still don't know what he's doing. The Ravens game, I'm not trying to cuss, but it's absolutely bulldozer. Just Derrick Henry. Also raises concern of why the Ravens were so bad because Derrick Henry got the ball 40 times and ran for 250, which is the most yards ever allowed by one single running back in Lambeau Field history. And then they didn't even care. They played on the starters, but it's just a myriad of injuries and a collapse. And that's why Matt LaFleur, even with the injuries happening in the NFL, you got to find a way to finish out the ball game. You got to find a way not to give up points to the Broncos when you're up by 9. You got to find a way to recover an onside kick and just end the damn game in Chicago. That's why LaFleur's on the hot seat. But yeah, you've had playoff success, but you haven't been to it. You haven't been to the Super Bowl. And if you can't go in with this team to get it done, it has to come back to the top. The coach is responsible for the execution and the winning of the football game. Coaching matters in football. Coaching matters in sports. Injuries happen in the NFL. Everybody has them in some capacity. Some teams are lucky one year. They don't have this many. Another team might have a ton, but you got to figure it out. And the reason why I like to dive into this about injuries, the year the Packers won the Super Bowl in 2010, they had the NFL leading 16 players in the injured reserve. They had their third string running back in the playoffs running. And they went ahead and won the Super Bowl. There was guys who are being pulled out. And in the game itself, Donald Driver and Charles Woodson were not dead. Injuries happen. You got to buck up and get the job done. And that's where it comes to coaching, get assistant coaches, the head coaches, getting the players in position to be successful, and then the players being professional and executing. And so we'll see what kind of Packers team shows up on Saturday night, because these past 4 weeks have been pretty painful to watch.
So if the Packers go down, you think LaFleur's out?
I think LaFleur is probably out, and especially with Harbaugh being available, or Stefanski. There are other coaches, maybe sometimes you see a change just to refresh the whole system. He's been there since 2018. You've been a few NFC championship games. Even in the past 10 years, the Packers still have the most NFC North titles with 4. So they have the most success, but you haven't nothing to show for it. The NFC championship Super Bowl appearance, is what matters. And if you don't have that to prove, you're just congratulations, thanks, and get out the door.
Is this a real stat? I saw the Packers haven't won the North since Rodgers left.
They won it in 2011, 2021. I mean. So they did win it with Jordan Love. No, yeah, haven't won it without. Yeah, you're right. Since Aaron Rodgers left, because the last 3 have been 7 seeds with Jordan Love.
Wow.
Crazy.
So let me ask you guys this, because you talked about LaFleur being on the hot seat too. We talked about McDermott for Buffalo and Tomlin for the Steelers. Power rank them right now. Which one, like, it's win or get fired versus as long as they don't get the doors beat off of them, he's probably still going to be the head coach between those 3? Like, who's got the hottest seat right now, and who's kind of like, yeah, it's hot, but it's not like scolding?
Hottest seat for me is McDermott.
Okay.
Yeah.
LaFleur is second. And because the Steelers ownership, by Tomlin's third, if you had to rank all 3.
Are you same, Drew?
Yeah, I feel like McDermott is like 1 year overdue. Tomlin, it feels like it's every year, but then, they keep running him back. So the fact that LaFleur's contract is up is interesting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, especially even halfway through the season, you would have been like, that's weird because, they're good. They've been good, or so it seems. But it's almost like, is LaFleur very similar to Tomlin where, like the stat I just mentioned, I didn't even really think about it. But it's like, yeah, I guess they are just kind of limping into the wild card every year. It's like they win more games than they lose, but not by much.
Yeah, this year was trash. They had 11 wins and 10 wins the previous 2 years. They get in. The NFC North has been a gauntlet, with the Vikings being good and the Lions actually in their resurgence and the Bears coming back up. But there's just something missing. And now the Packers have a new president as of, this past offseason taking over from Mark Murphy. I think he wants to assess the situation, because Gutenhurst, the GM, I believe this is the last technical year of his deal too. Checking on both of them, giving him as much opportunity to say, hey, do I want to have a clean slate of my new, basically overseeing of the franchise? I don't want to make a decision too hasty, too quick, and give them some sort of sense of calm. I'm gonna make them earn it and see if they want to stay around. So you got to also, does he want to be tied to them as an extension, or does he want to have new coach, new GM come in under his official, first real decision making period?
I kind of wonder, because I might flip it around where I would say LaFleur, McDermott, and then Tomlin, because I agree with you. Tomlin should be number 3 on this one, just because the Rooney's there and what they've done for NFL and coaching and minority coaches and the whole Rooney rule. There's part of me that looks at McDermott and goes, the dude has won, what, 3 out of the last 4 East titles, or I believe it's 3 out of 4. And he wins double-digit games every single year. Yeah, I think
he won 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. 5 of the last 6.
Oh, 5 of the last 6
in a row. Yeah, they won 5 in a row.
And then you're winning double-digit games every single year. You're competitive. You've made the AFC title game, I believe, at least once or twice during that span. Off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of it. But I kind of also wonder if some of the hate towards him is based on what Vrabel is doing now in New England. And then, New England kind of got bad for a little bit there at the very tail end of Belichick, and then kind of like that whole transition away from Bill kind of was flubbed, I think, with the Kraft family. And then you see what New England has done. Dominant defense. That defense has been downright nasty all season long. They kind of stormed back with Drake May on like a Heisman MVP campaign there for the Patriots, and his Buffalo fans be like, well, wait, this is our division. Just kind of butthurt that they lost the division.
I don't think it has something to do. It's their Super Bowl or bust. The Bills are Super Bowl or bust. That window's only going to be open for so long. They're Super Bowl or bust, and so that's the mentality. The fan base, tortured of 4 straight losses. They're desperate. And the fact that losing the AFC Championship or the divisional round or the wild card round, having talent, having the window at the MVP quarterback, that it weighs on you. It feels like, dare I say, Dan Marino.
Mm-hmm. It does have Dan Marino feelings.
Even though Dan Marino at least went to 1 Super Bowl, but you're like, you're fantastic, but you never actually get to the pinnacle. You're a great quarterback, but your team can never get you over that threshold. So finally, they just want to get to the Super Bowl. The winning part, I don't think even matters right now. they played swing in that final game.
Yeah, I think entering the season, it was, if they didn't get at least to a Super Bowl, then McDermott would be out. And then now then the second that Mahomes went down, it was almost like that even ratchets up more because it's like now the path is even more clear, if not now, then when.
And you kind of look, Joe Burrow beat him in the playoffs once. Lamar's beaten him. Patrick Mahomes has beaten him. Those three quarterbacks and their teams are not in the playoff. Like, they're really, I think the fan base would be like, there's no excuse.
Right.
Yes, the Broncos are good. Yes, the Jaguars are good. Yes, the Chargers are good. The Patriots, et cetera, et cetera. There is none of that quarterback barrier. And in the end, the NFL, in the playoffs, you need a quarterback to get the job done.
Right.
And he is the best quarterback in the AFC historically right now at this moment. It's on him to get it done.
Right. So let me ask you guys this. It's all about getting to the Super Bowl at the end of this whole thing, too. We have two teams that have never made the Super Bowl, Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. Out of 100, percentage chance that either one of those teams reduces that number of teams that have never made the Super Bowl. Like, what are the odds of Texans or the Jags making the Super Bowl?
If you blend it, the Jags have the second most forced turnovers, and Trevor Lawrence has played better. But having to play the Bills in that first round is a very tall task. That Houston defense is nasty good. But that offense is stank. If I had to give an overall chance, I think the Jags have a better chance than the Texans this year because at least they'll be able to score some points. It would take I'd probably give you 15%
10,
chance.
15? Okay, for
15%
Jacksonville,
chance,
15?
15, and then maybe 10 for the Texans.
I'm shocked you went 10 for the Texans there.
If the defense gets hot, like what they did last year in the Chargers, and they actually gave the Chiefs a pretty solid game in the second round. Again, the defense can force turnovers that can go, but CJ Stroud hasn't looked the same like he's from his rookie year, and offensively that kind of worries me. The defense can only be on the field so long. At least the Jags, their defense is playing well, but Trevor Lawrence lately in the past few weeks, you've seen since Jacoby Myers been traded over, that offense has found its sort of setting, and they've been scoring points, and Trevor's feeling confident in the last 7 or 8, 9 weeks of the season. So there's momentum on offense for Jacksonville with some defense playing well. Defense is dominant from the Texans, but the offense, you never know what you're going to get. And I think that's where I'm taking that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just even trying to think about the different matchups. So, like, forget the 1 seed. So, wild card weekend, you would have, 3 AFC matchups? And so, of those other 6 teams, excluding the 1 seed, how would I rank them? And I think Houston and Jacksonville, I would have in the top 3 of those 6.
Really?
So I would have to make the case that they would be, 2 of the top 4, in my opinion, in the conference. I know that's a stretch, but with the Houston, but it's the playoffs. Defense in the playoffs, it's like if their offense can just be competent and hold it together, they're going to be in games. And it's like, Steelers, I have no faith in. Patriots, obviously, are good. So for me, it would be like Broncos, Patriots, Jags, Texans would be like my 4 if I was setting the odds of likelihood to make it.
So what percentage chance do you give them, though? Like Houston Texans, out of 100%, I give them a blank % chance to make the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, I'll say 25%.
Wow.
They're one of the 4 teams I think can win the AFC. So I feel like 25% makes sense.
Is Jacksonville higher than 25% to you?
No, they're pretty even to me.
Okay.
I would say that the Broncos and the Patriots are slightly above them. So maybe I should be doing like 30-30, 20-20.
Yeah.
It's because I do have the Patriots and Broncos slightly above. Patriots will be interesting because they've had a really easy schedule. So now playing, potentially like good teams back-to-back weeks will be, a good test for them. But yeah, I mean, I like the Houston defense, and the Jags have been on fire. Their defense has been going as well. So yeah, we'll see. Like you said, they got the tough matchup with Buffalo in the first round, but
I think that actually might be the toughest matchup in the playoffs for them. Like, if you can get over that hurdle of beating the Bills, they're going to have some experience against the Patriots, who are going to be an inexperienced playoff team. They've already beaten the Broncos, so you have them in the back of your minds. Like, we did it by 2 touchdowns. Like, it wasn't even competitive.
in Denver.
in Denver. So you have some of that, like, we have confidence going into the fall game. They've split with the Texans, so that wasn't, they blew one 19-point lead and they beat them the other time. So if they can get that first game going, and we've even seen it like in the college football playoff, you get that first win, you're like, oh, we're good. It's that you just have to get that first one to really get the momentum going, and then feeling that confidence and everything starts clicking pretty good.
Yeah, and there will be somewhat of a mental battle if it ends up being like, I don't know if the bracket shapes up that way, but if the Jags had to play Houston in Jacksonville, I think they've beat them there once in like the past 10 years.
That
Really?
was this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah, it was the first time. That was something I would bet Houston every year when they would come to Jacksonville, and this was the first year they finally got over the hump.
Yeah. If the Chargers beat the Patriots in the first round, then yes, and Houston beats the Steelers and Jacksonville wins, they would play in Jacksonville for the second round. So
That would
there
be
you
a
go.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk sports betting here for a second. Which one dogs right now? I want to take this dog money line here right now, just so to give you current odds of what I'm looking at. And again, this could change different books what you have. Houston's -3 right now. Buffalo's -1.5. New England -3.5. Panthers or Rams are -10.5 here. Eagles -4.5, and Green Bay -1.5. Which one of the underdogs are you most like, I'm taking this money line? I feel so confident about that one.
Give me the Jags
You
money
got to
line.
take Jags money line. Fresh, you're really thinking on this one.
Oh, it's tough. If we're going to do game previews, I'll give away my picks.
Hey, technically from a, betting superstition perspective, you should be taking the Steelers home dog, but,
Well, from a betting perspective, the Bears at home, I wouldn't be mad if I put money on that, because that team is going to come out with some motivation. This is like, we talk about games that, that's that team's Super Bowl. The Packers are the Bears Super Bowl. The Bears and the Bears fans especially are obsessed. There were Blackhawks games where they're walking out saying Green Bay sucks. There are Cubs games where they're walking out saying Green Bay sucks in the middle of June. The entire city of Chicago, all of Illinois, they hate the Packers. This is everything to them. Ben Johnson talked trash about Matt LaFleur on his introductory press conference. The Bears being the underdog, I'm going to take that if I'm betting.
Yeah, gotcha. Who you like to cover? Who you like to? I like them to cover.
Patriots.
You like Patriots to cover 3.5?
Yeah.
What about you, Drew?
Houston.
Houston cover?
Yeah.
I got you. Nice. All right. So real quick, let's go through the games real fast here. See what you guys think on them. Just a couple minutes on each one here. We'll start I feel like we've been hanging pretty heavily in the AFC. So let's start over in the NFC there as well. Pick for Panthers Rams. It's going to be played at 4:30 on Saturday, it looks like here.
Rams are going to steamroll them. They've been there before. They lost 31-28 early. They know who the Panthers are. Look, the Panthers have good wins. They beat the Packers. They beat the Rams, both by 3 points. But we have odds, and we've seen that team. It's still, even though Bryce Young has 13 game-winning drives somehow in his career, the playoffs is a different animal, and teams are ready to buck up. And Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, Puka, Sean McVay in general, they're about to put on a show.
Yeah, Rams win and cover.
Yeah, I watched the end of that Tampa Bay Carolina game the other night, and I felt like the officials really helped increase the odds of Tampa Bay winning the NFC South, and Atlanta helped out Carolina here to get in there. I just can't see Rams as I don't really treat them as a real playoff team here. They made it. If they win a game, then I'll take my words back here. I got the Rams as well. We'll go Packers-Bears here because this is also on Saturday as well. Fresh, we kind of know where you're picking on that one, I'm sure.
Bears suck. They're down the toilet. For the Packers to win in all seriousness, Josh Jacobs have to run the football. He's finally healthy, and they're going to have to the receivers are going to have to catch the damn ball. In defense, they have played like trash the past month. They've got to find a way to get some turnovers. I know Mike is not out there. Rashawn Gary, you've been trash, so maybe some of the young guys will step up and get some sacks and get to Caleb. But if you watch the last 2 times the Packers and Bears played this season, in the fourth quarter, the first 3 quarters, Caleb's been trash. The Packers defense has shut him down. And in the fourth quarter, he's running around looking like, the greatest quarterback, looking like Michael Vick and making great throws. They've got to finish out a football game. Packers all the way. Packers win. But they've got to do a major soul searching and buck up because it's been pretty crappy for the past month.
Yep, I'll be betting on the Packers. Like I said, I think just it would be the perfect storybook ending to the Bears season to get embarrassed by the Packers on the
Now,
biggest stage.
I will wrap this though. In all respects, this Bears team is very good, and I told you, I'm betting them if I had to bet because they're not the same old Bears. This is a legit football team, organized adults running the franchise in all areas, and not a bunch of children.
All right, so Packers win by double digits. You're not saying same old Bears?
Just win, baby. I don't care how my house.
Yeah, it's
Just win.
playoffs.
One might slip out,
Just win, baby.
Right. For giggles, in honor of our good friend who's now living up that way, Jim, I'll go Bears just on his behalf there, just to give someone out there, because I like Jim, and Jim's a great guy. So, and he's
Yeah.
a
Jim is a
giant
good
Bears
dude.
fan.
Jim
Bears
is a good
fan.
dude.
And he does constantly, he'll be the first one to tell you how much the Bears suck when they're terrible. So he's not blinded by them. So I'll throw some love there and pick the Bears in respect of him. All right, Eagles 49ers. I probably think this may be the best contest of the two.
Two teams I've met it seems like they always meet in the playoffs. Really
They
separate.
really do.
As much as I hate the Eagles, that coach, he looks like a prick. I just want to punch him in the face. But somehow the guys, they just win. He yells at the players yell at him, they keep winning. It just seems like they've been sort of waiting the weeds, and now they're ready to turn it on. The 49ers, they've had a lot of injuries. And the fact that Pearsall and Trent Williams haven't even practiced yet, defense has been banged up in the pass rushing perspective. I'm taking the Eagles. I think this is where Saquon Barkley and Jalen, A.J. Brown, and Devontae and Dallas Goedert, they're like, all right. You kind of look at each other and you're like, okay, like it's time. Like let's stop fucking around. Let's stop messing around. Let's go score some points and win a ball game. And I said bucking. I didn't say another word.
Just making sure.
Oh, is there no cussing on this podcast? My bad. I think I dropped a few. I wasn't paying attention.
No, only one so far. I'm kind of keeping tally over here. Just we'll put it in we'll swear jar at the end here. Listen, I owe no money right now. So I'll say this with Eagles. I look at how the bracket is set up in the NFC, and I kind of wonder if the Eagles play their A game, who has even a chance to beat them, because the only time they'd see the Seahawks or the Rams would be in they'd see the Rams if the Packers do win. But I look at the Eagles and go, I think they're going to cruise right on through at least to the NFC title game. So give me the Eagles in this one. Again, Fresh, I agree with you on the injury thing. When I was seeing all the guys listed on the 49ers injury report, I just can't. Again, you said everyone has injuries, but I think the Eagles, it caught a lot of flack for resting the guys last week, and they dropped from the 2 seed down to the 3 seed there. But I think it also was a smart play because you knew your spot was locked up. You're going to be 1, 2, 3. You're going to get a home game. We'll figure out the rest as we go along there. I think the rest was more important than the seeding. So I'm going with the Eagles in this one to win.
There's a graphic. 3 Eagles up.
Nope. Give me the 49ers.
There we go. Saving the graphic.
Injuries have been their story all season. And, I tend to, when it's a close matchup and I'm not sure, I go, I lean for the story. And San Francisco playing a home Super Bowl just seems like where we're heading.
Right. So the Hurricanes play a home national title game, and the 49ers play home Super Bowl. Man,
they were
crazy.
almost going to get the 1 seed and just never leave San Francisco. But, the NFL was like, well, that's a little too much. So we got to make them earn it.
Right. All right, roll over to the AFC here. Steelers, Texans. Let's get this one out of the way.
Texans.
I think I'm gonna say right now, the Texans sack Aaron Rodgers 6+ times and force 4 turnovers.
Listen,
and they win.
I'm born and raised in the west of Cleveland. There's one thing you don't root for, and no matter who they're playing, Texans all the way in this one. I hate the Steelers, and only them wave sissy yellow flags.
I love Aaron Rodgers. He did a lot for the Packers, but he's going to need a whole heck of a lot of magic to beat this Texans team. He complained about Packers not having defense and Packers not having enough players. Boy, you need DK to show up on that field and catch 20 passes for 220 and 4 touchdowns to have a prayer.
Yeah. All right, the game that's here in Jacksonville, you'll be at Fresh, Jags and Bills. How do you see it going down for the Jaguars?
Being here in Jacksonville, like we all, at least especially being the NFC side of the pack, my team, but having a soft spot for the Jags because they're here in the city.
You're allowed to have one for
This
each conference.
this will be the Bills are going to be desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's going to be something where they are going to leave out all the stops. Like James Cook's the leading rusher. Josh Allen is, fantastic, can do it all. They have two good tight ends. The receivers have always been the issue. They just have it. You're still waiting for one of those receivers to step up and help them out. But this is a battle-tested veteran playoff team. A couple years ago, they're in the playoffs. Then a massive comeback versus the Chargers, went out, played the Chiefs, choked that one away. 2 years out of the playoffs. Not many guys from that team are back on this one. So where's that focus of the Jaguar team? You've won the division. You've beaten teams in the regular season. But now the playoffs, can you elevate your game? Can the defense still force some turnovers? That secondary for Buffalo is depleted. There's not much help back there. There's a lot of injuries. This one's going to be another tight game. Last time they got the playoff was 10-3. Jags over Bills. I could see this one being like a 20-17 slugfest just because there's a lot of jitters from the Jags. But I'm taking the Jags to win. McDermott will be left here he'll probably just, waddle over to Ponte Vedra Beach and hang out in the Ponte Vedra in the club after he gets fired. Jags get take care of business and move on. There's worse places to be.
Yeah, right. A lot worse place to be. That's a nice place.
But I think that's where he'll end up on Sunday afternoon. But the Jags, Liam Cohen, this is it's a vibe of a team. If you watch them, you look at the logo, it's like, oh, it's just the Jags. No, this is not a last year Jags or the year before. Trevor looks, I think you guys have probably watched that games too, I'm assuming. He looks more relaxed the last 8-9 weeks of the season. Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr. helping him out. Brent Strange. The running game is there. The defense playing with a little bit of a vibe. Like I'm not to say a 2017 energy because that team was ridiculously good, but there is just something different about this. Is not just it's not just a team. Like they have a camaraderie and a vibe about them that gives them something that teams that need to have playoff success need to have the extra juice.
Yeah, I'm also going to be taking the Jags. I mean, they take the ball away and they finish drives. And one of the biggest things that I've seen come back this year is Lawrence, using his legs, especially in the red zone. That Trevor Lawrence, anytime touchdown, but, obviously got to get it through rushing. That's been hot this year. So been making some good money off of that.
Right. Here's what I'm visioning, gentlemen. I was watching all of this and, Liam Cohen's introductory press conference and the Duval kind of came back, started resurfacing. Here's what's going to happen. Jacksonville's going to beat Buffalo. There's going to be the post-game handshake, and I don't know, Liam Cohen is going to like pull McDermott's shirt over there, give him a hockey punch, spike a helmet down, and in like the deepest, most like bass, like you go Duval, and like could be completely opposite of it is, and then just kind of like I don't know if he just goes like full on like Hulk Hogan, rips the shirt off, is like flexing at the middle of the field in the Jaguar thing. I don't know. I just think that Jacksonville is going to win, and watch him like do the whole Duval thing over again, but this time he completely alters his voice. Or I would give him so much more credit if he trolled everybody and gets up and goes, I told y'all, Duval, and just does it as a complete joke to everybody. But yeah, Jaguars win.
I will say, of the 3 AFC games, this will be the most competitive.
Yeah, good.
This will be the most competitive.
Real good chance. Yeah. All right, last one over in the AFC. Chargers. What you got there?
Chargers have no offensive lineman, it feels like. They're just protecting Justin Herbert's been a problem since Davis drafted. The receivers, Ladd McConkey's had a down year. They've kind of lost the passing game. It's Mike Vrabel on the other side. He has had playoff experience. He's gotten he got the Titans to go and beat teams in the playoffs. Yes, he had Derrick Henry, but he can coach. He's turned this franchise around in the blink of an eye. Drake May's playing well, receivers playing well. They run the football, a good, a combination of backs there. Defense is playing good. I don't trust Jim Harbaugh. I mean, he's a scumbag in general. The better Harbaugh in every regard was fired. In the scumbag is how you're still coaching and wearing receiver gloves during warm-ups like an idiot. It's gonna be cold, and yes, they're a California team coming to the cold. It is gonna be ugly. That defense is not as good as it has been in the past. The offense isn't very good. They kind of weighed themselves through. Patriots win this one big.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case because the Chargers, like you said, can't really protect Herbert, no offensive line, so probably struggle to establish any run game too. But I will say, as much as I dislike Jim Harbaugh for his Michigan ties, crazy stat, perfect like trivia type question I heard or learned this week. Who's the only active head coach with more rushing yards than Bo Jackson?
Jim,
Jim Harbaugh.
also a TV star. Saved by the Bell.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hey, so I think this game will be close at least for a half, but then Patriots probably pull away because they're just going to be the better team.
Yeah. I got the Patriots as well. I love what Vrabel has done, and that defense has been downright nasty all year long. I carried the Patriots along on my fantasy team all year and made some serious money on that one. So give me the Patriots to win this one big. I think they're going to easily shut. I would wonder if Herbert's really has any help at all outside of Amarion Hampton. I'm glad he's back, but again, I think the Patriots dominate this one.
Now, question to bring both of you guys. It's funny how in the past week to 10 days, the Stephon Diggs and the Christian Barmore off the field stuff popped into the media. Do they get suspended, or that's they aren't going to address the issue till the playoffs are over?
Those are next year's problems, you know.
Just like the Ray Rice stuff, the Rashidi Rice stuff, it all becomes next year's problem.
Right. Next
That's
year's problem.
where the NFL might need to start changing a different perspective on that.
Right.
Like you're impacting a playoff where if the guy committed the violation in September, he'd be suspended in October. It happened in real life, unless they're waiting for the courts to completely wrap up their full investigation. But these activities are pretty well documented, at least suspended for detrimental to the team or detrimental to the league. And you got to find a way you can't let them have success and have the off the field transgressions, because they could retire if they want to at the end of the year and get away with it and run away.
Right.
So it is funny how both those did drop. One that happened right then, and the other one happened earlier in the year. More distractions for the Patriots. How do they handle that as well?
And not to defend anything that DK Metcalf did, but he didn't even connect. Right. It was like, I know you can't touch the fans, but it was like they said, punching a fan. He threw a punch, but he didn't punch the guy.
Yeah. All right. Super Bowl at this point, wild card weekend, we're going to bring you guys an episode all throughout the NFL playoffs here. Right now, wild card weekend, Super Bowl picks. Who you got in Santa Clara?
That means we already picked winners for these games. I can't curse the Bills and the Bears by having them play each other. Broncos, Eagles.
Going Broncos, Eagles. So you're going chalk, basically.
Broncos, Eagles. Let my good friend Chris be tortured on Super Bowl Sunday when the Broncos lose.
I'm going to go Rams, Jaguars.
I like it.
Rematch of the London game.
I like it.
I hadn't thought of that, but that's a good point.
I'm going Jaguars Seahawks, man. I'll pull for the hometown Jaguars just because I want the Jaguars to win, so I can come up just with goofy stuff that I would predict that Liam Combs going to do in post games after every win as they make the Super Bowl.
Now, look to really which city or which fan base would have the crazier celebration if the team won a Super Bowl? Of all the fan bases left, like Philly's notorious, but like which one would just lose their stuff? Because all three of us live here in Northeast Florida, Jacksonville, St. John's.
I gotta go Denver, Buffalo, or Chicago would be the three. I would say probably Buffalo 1. Here's number 1. Because here's the thing. I love Bills Mafia. I think they're crazy. I think they're hilarious. I'm disappointed that when you were up there, you didn't at least help put someone through a table.
We didn't see anybody going through tables, and we were out there for 5 hours before the game.
Did you scream Devon, get the tables?
There was no tables anywhere. Nobody was jumping through them. It's all a sham. It's all for TV.
Yeah, they just do one table,
But the funny part,
it's disappointing.
If the Bills win the Super Bowl, they don't need Highmark Stadium anymore. Do they literally burn that stadium to the ground?
Maybe. Or at least
one big bonfire in the parking lot of the entire old stadium being burned to the ground.
there's a variety of things I could envision Buffalo fans doing if they win a Super Bowl. Some of those very not appropriate for the podcast.
Most would not be appropriate.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Chicago and Buffalo would be like Jacksonville would do some damage, but as we know, this area is spread out. But
Yeah, it's too
Chicago
big.
Bears fans and Buffalo would be just an epic meltdown of biblical proportions.
Yeah. I go back and forth too. Denver.
They all be high.
Yeah,
They wouldn't
they'd
know what
all
they were
be.
doing. They all
Yeah,
just like mellow it out. They'd be all mellowed out, and like, all of a sudden, go Broncos.
the oxygen's thin a mile high up in the air. So yeah, that's can't really
always
get your
be
breath
very-
underneath you.
They'd be chilling. They'd have just be really a good, positive, happy vibes.
Exactly.
Do you really think if the Bears won the Super Bowl, could they muster a celebration that would compete with or exceed the celebration of getting past the Packers in the first round? Which celebration would actually be greater?
I think you're probably right, because the last time the Packers and Bears played in the playoffs, it was the NFC Championship game, and the Packers beat them. So there is also some paranoia. I think that would probably, they might burn down buildings if they beat the Packers in the Super Bowl. Whatever.
They'd be like, yeah, hey, bonus, free
Look at the
win.
trophy.
Reliving the Chicago fire, everyone.
Stupid cow knocking things over.
Yeah. Burn it down, Pookie.
You imagine that in the post game too, like when they inevitably ask like the useless questions of how does it feel to win the Super Bowl, and he goes, almost as good as beating the Packers 3 weeks ago.
You can probably type that in right now as like the first question. That'd be verbatim to be answered.
Yeah.
They would come out after winning the Super Bowl with cheese graters on their head because they're so focused on beating the Packers.
That'd be so funny. That'd be so funny. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up here. And you guys have been listening to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. Thanks to our producer, Drew, for joining us. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button before you head on out of here. Hit the notification bell. Get notified every single time we drop a new episode. We'll finish off the college football playoff. We're going to have NFL playoff preview all the way through the big game, through the Super Bowl. And once we get done with the regular season, it's on time to the off season. It's the perfect blend between Fresh and I's college football knowledge and pro football knowledge. And we are joined by a couple other special guests for one of our favorite episodes of the year, our full first round mock draft. So make sure you're locking in all year long. Checking out spinnablesports.com, because the Irrational Confidence Podcast is part of spinnablesports.com. Fresh, Drew, that's all I got for the day. It's going to be a fun one. Playoffs are here.
Everybody spread the word. Spinnablesports.com, Spinnable Sports YouTube channel. Hit us up at Spinnable Sports on Twitter, at IR Confidence Pod as well on Twitter. Engage. Let us know what's up. Spread the word. Spread the wealth. Enjoy your football. Not many games left, but we're getting there. Games mean much, much more now.
Looks like Fresh is already out of here.
Let's go, Jags.
Duval. I still can't get over it.
All right, everybody. Until next time, talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.